Hello and welcome to this tutorial whereby we are going to build a countdown app using JavaScript. These are fairly basic and simple project which anybody can work on after they finish reading JavaScript. And so we're going to dive into it right away. I'm already in my VS Code and I have set up 3 files with the relevant file extensions. So we have an index.html file, a script.js file, a style.css file. Also have an images folder which contains an image, and this image you're going to incorporate it into our web page. Just for the visuals, it's good to create something which looks nice. So we're going to create a simple basic web page. And here the first thing we're going to do is link our style sheet. I'm gonna have this be a style sheet, and I'm gonna link to it. It's already given as style.css. Then I'm going to link my JavaScript file, which is going to be script.js. And I'm going to input a loading strategy, which is going to be differ. It is in good practice to have an external JavaScript file which we link into our HTML. It is good and proper practice to do this, and it's preferable to add the loading strategy, which is differ. So our title, we can have it as countdown app, since you're building a countdown app. And within our body, we are going to start with a div, and for this div we're going to give it a class. Now I'm going to give this a class of whole container 1, because a div basically is a container, so I just prefer to use the whole container 1. And in these I'm going to input my image, but I'm going to input it as a background image. So let me correct that. Input background image for these. Then next I'm going to have another div now, which is going to contain my classes for the countdown. So instead of whole container 1, I'm going to have it as whole container 2. And in here I'm going to have a h2, and this h2 gonna have it say maybe countdown in year. Countdown in year. I'm gonna have a line break which is given by br. So if you've gone through HTML, so this is a very familiar tag to have. And then inside my h2 I can have a span element. So span elements are usually inline elements, and headings are usually block elements, so we know that. And these I'm going to give it a class of maybe, let's say, new line. Yeah, let's give it a class of new line. And here I'm going to input 20. We're in the year 2024. However, I would want to give my 20 and 24 to have different stylings, just for the visuals of the web page. So in here I'm going to input a span, and I'm going to put 24, and I'm gonna give this a class because you're gonna need to style this. Then I'm gonna give the class of maybe highlight. I can give this a class of highlight. So we have a h2, and within the h2 we have a span class, and we have another span class which is embedded inside our span class here. So this is it looks weird, but it is proper and it is in line. It is in line with how we're supposed to go about that. So the next, can we have another div? Having many divs today, sorry. Let's give it a class of hold. My VS Code is suggesting hold container because it's already up there. And then I'm gonna have also another div, and this div I'm gonna give it a class, maybe countdown container, because it is going to contain my divs which are going to have the number of days, hours, minutes, as well as seconds. We can also input our milliseconds div, but we're going to see about that. So start with the countdown container. In here, I'm going to have a div. I'm going to have another div, and this div, I'm going to give it a class. I'm going to give it a class of day container. Now, within these divs which I'm creating, they will have span. They will have span elements. So this, I'm going to give it a class of number. So when we manipulate our DOM, and actually that reminds me, I need to add an ID here, which is going to say, give it maybe say day number. Yeah, day number, right? Because we are going to manipulate these, I'm going to manipulate this text content here. So we are going to use this class to style this span, and then we're going to use this ID to query select through the DOM. So I'm gonna copy these, and I am going to come here to the bottom. Now, instead of number, I want this to be text, and instead of having this ID here, I don't need these, so this can go, because all I need to do is style the text. I'm not manipulating here. I just want this to say days, like that. So I'm going to copy this div which says the day container. I'm going to copy it down here because the format will be the same. So we're going to have days. So from days we have hours, so this is going to be the hour container. Instead of here being the day number, I'm going to have the hour number, and it's still going to be the same here, but what I'm going to do here is change the text. Instead of days, I'm going to have it say hours. Then we're going to copy the same. So from, we have days, we have hours, then we have minutes. So this is going to be the minute container. And instead of having the ID be the day number, I'm going to have it be the minute number. I'm going to change the text to minutes. And finally, we are going to have the seconds. So here I'm going to have this say second container, and here I'm going to have this be second number, and here I'm going to have this be the same as seconds. So this is going to be the format of the basic HTML page. So if we go to our Chrome, and for these we're going to use the live server which is provided by VS Code. So I'm going to go live, and let's see, yeah, there we go. We get this type of format. However, I would want my image, my background image, to be here, and I would want all these to be on this other side. So I'm going to do a sort of flex. Then I'm going to justify start, and yeah, let's do this from the CSS. This is going to make our page look much more better. So we start with the capture all, which is usually given by our star. Let's have the margin be 0. Let's have the padding also be 0, and then let's have the box sizing be the same as border box. Let's have the body. For the body, let's have the mean height be the same as 100 viewport height. Let's also have the width be 100%, and then since I want to flex my background image and this whole container which contains all these, I am going to put my body, let my body be display of flex, and gonna have the flex wrap to wrap around, so that when we minimize our screen, it wraps around. Then let's have the overflow. I don't want any overflow either on the x-axis or the y-axis. Good. So from there we have our hold container one. Remember, only I can type hold container 1. So we have this hold container 1 over here, and hold container 1, this is where we said you're going to input our background image. So I want the width of this to take a width of 30%. So and I'm going to give it a height of auto, and I'm going to input the background image, which is going to be URL. Then I'm going to have to enter into my folder and get the image. So let's see what immediately we get. Wonderful. So it occupies 30% of the page. If we were to change these and we give this 40%, we will see that it gets bigger. So, but I want it at 30%. Then background repeat. I don't want any repeat. Move on. The background position, can have the background position. I will want this to be center as well as center over here. And then finally I will want the background size, because I want it to cover. Sorry for that, but oh my god, background size to be cover. I would want it to cover. So with that, yes, the image looks much more better. Then we have our hold container 2. So this is the hold container 2. Where do I have it? Yeah, here I have the hold container 2. I would want to I don't want it to have don't want this color, this plain white color. So I'm going to input another background color, much more shouting color. Let's have red. Then let's make sure that we are having a width of 70%, because the width is 100, so we are already getting 30% over here. So I'm going to make sure that that is 70%, and then I'm going to remove this first because I want to see the color of the text. Let me have it as white, because there is something special that I want to do with these divs which have I will don't put a sort of box shadow for them. So we are still in our CSS and moving quite well. So from the hold container 2 we have a H2. So I said that I want this color will be I think it's already white. This will be white, but I think I'm going to change it. I also want this to be a different color and this also to be a different color. So let's start by styling that. Went back to my files, but that's okay. So hold container 2, and you're styling our H2. Let's have these have a mean width, not a mean height, but a mean width. Mean width, yes, that's what I want, over 100%. Then I want the text align to be centered. I want to be center. The next thing is I will want to increase the font size. It's small, so maybe 2.5 rem will do. I also want to capitalize, so we use the text transform and then we input capitalize. And then I would want a spacing at the bottom from the next from our countdown container. Since the next one is supposed to be a countdown container, we give it a margin bottom of 5 rem. Let's give it 5 rem. Let's see how it's going to operate. Good, wonderful. Here we go. So this is the margin bottom. Yeah, that spacing looks okay. It looks alright. Good. So in our H2 we had our span. And the first one, head the style of new line. So for this new line, I'm going to give it a color, give it the color of black, and we can do a letter spacing of maybe around 0.5 rem. And then the other one was, if you remember correctly, was highlight. So dot highlight, and let's give it a color. Give it the color of banana, yellow, and yeah, good. Looks much more better. Looks better. So I do not even need to input these. Yeah, this line break, because I want it to be on the other line. Yes. Countdown in year 2024. This separation looks, but JavaScript, I know it is. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, it works. It works. I wanted to say that. Yeah. Oh, JavaScript, not HTML. JavaScript is white space insensitive. It doesn't care about the spaces, but index HTML does. So yeah. So we move on to the next container, and which is hold container 2, and we have these class which is hold. If I am not wrong, hold container 2 hold. Yes, there we go. And what I want to do is I want to center the countdown container in our hold. So this is going to be in this manner. So I'm going to have a display of grid, and I'm going to have I'm going to say place items. Place items to the center, and let's see what I get. Yeah, so this has placed my items to the center. Good. Then I'm going now to style the countdown container. Countdown container. And for this countdown container, it comprises of 4 different divs. So we have this div, we have this div, we have this div, and we have this div. So I will want to put them in a sort of flexed manner. So I'm going to give this a display of flex, and I'm going to give this a flex wrap, so that we can have that sort of what do we call it in CSS? That adaptability. Yeah, adaptability. Then I'm going to justify content to the center, and I'm going to have them have a gap of at least 1 rem. So yes, there we go. So all I'm remaining with is I would want to have them have box shadows so that you can see them as different, and then I need to put this content in as a grid and center. So that is what we're going to do. Yeah, so let's have the countdown container div. So all those divs is going to apply to those 4 divs which we have. I'm gonna set a particular width of maybe 150 pixels, which is okay. So 150 to 200, that will be okay. I want them to be box, so I'm going to also put them at 150 pixels. Then I'm going to have the content be grid, and then we are going to do the same thing that we've done, place items to the center. So this brings them to the center, and then I'm going to have a box shadow, and for this I can have 0 pixels, 5 pixels, 5 pixels, black. Yeah, and maybe I can have, yeah, let's first check it out how it looks like. Perfect. That looks good with this box shadow. So what I will now want to do is, in increase the font size because these cannot be seen and capitalize these text, and that is what you're going to do. So we have we remember that for our span elements we had classes of number and text, and not even remember, we can just check. We have number, text, number, text, number, text. So let's style the number, and for the number all we need to do is increase the font size, give it something like 2.5 rem, and then can have the dot text. And for these, let's transform these to capital, so I'm gonna capitalize them. And then also you can have the font size be 1.3 rem. By default they usually given the text usually given, I think, a font size of 1.2 rem by the browser. And then can have the font weight, let them be to be a little bit bolder, so font weight bolder. So this is going to look amazing. It looks too big. 1. I give this 1.2 rem. Let me see what happens. Yeah, much more better. 1.2 rem. So I think that is all for the CSS. So we have our image, and I think we can try and test these. Yeah, so when we reduce, we get that, and I think I need to incorporate that at a certain screen height that the image completely disappears, maybe at 300 pixels, but as it gets bigger we get this sort of flexing, a sort of flex wrap. Yeah, so I'm gonna really don't need to see you already see the design of the web page. So what I will now want us to focus on is on the script part, or the JavaScript. So we start with we said that we want to manipulate the text content. So what we'll need to do is query select through the DOM. Yeah, so let's get let's have something like we're starting with a day, so we can have the day box. Going to have, since it's, I'm going to give it that name, it doesn't really matter what you give it. We have IDs, so it would be easier to just say get element by ID. And for these we had them be as day number. For that we had the day number, so I'm gonna copy these, and then I am going to just change the wording instead of typing. So we had the day box. From the day box we had the our box, and here it was our number, and then we had the minute box, and then here it was minute number, and then here we had the seconds box, and here it was given by second number. So if you've read through JavaScript, I know you're very familiar with this concept. So we can first of all console.log. Let's see whether we get these. So the box, our box, minute box, and then we're going to have the second box. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna go back, and we get these. So wonderful, because these are the figures which we want to manipulate. These are just placeholders, and they can just stay there, because if I was to remove them, then we'll just have a blank space, and there is no need for that. So I'm going to remove these, because you can see that you're able to console.log. Now we need to set a date. Maybe set the countdown date. I'm going to call it the countdown date. And how do we set a date in JavaScript? We have the date object, right? So I'm gonna come here and say let countdown date. Instead of using let me use, it's good practice to use the best practice. It's good practice to use best practices. So countdown date. What have I done? So set countdown date to be the same as new date, and inside here I am going to set I'm going to input a date. So I'm gonna use 30th May 2024, and let me see whether this works. So it is good practice also, if you're not sure about what you're doing, to always console.log things. I can be able to see whether you're able to get that. Yes, wonderful, I get a date. So this date is what we're going to use and subtract it from our current date, so that we get the number of milliseconds from which we are going to be able to get the time. So the next step is I want to set a function. So I'm going to set a function which is going to do what? Which is going to call a set interval, because for this I want to use a set interval. So I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna say function set countdown. I don't know why VS Code is trying to suggest, and right. So this is basically a function declaration, and here I am going to set a constant. Let me write that. Set a constant which holds the set interval. So something like const get it as set countdown timer, and the reason I'm doing this is because I also want to clear the set interval once the countdown has been reached. So I'm going to have set interval. So we get that and that. Good. So inside here, the first thing that I want to do is get the current date and time. So get current date. So, and that is we're going to get that, you can say const current date is going to be the same as just new date. So immediately we do that, let's console.log and see whether we are able to get these current date. And since this is setting this function, I need to call this function down here. So if I do this, yeah, I get this I get the date, but it still continues because I'm doing this within a set interval. So I'm gonna comment this out first, but you can see that it works. So we already get our current date. So we're getting our current date, and after getting our current date, what I want to do next is get the remaining time. So I'm gonna get the remaining time. So I'm gonna say const remaining time. This is going to be the same as our countdown date subtract our current date. And for this, I am going to get the results in milliseconds. So let's see what we get. Remaining time. I have not yet uncommented these. So we're going to comment and uncomment these out so many times. So here we go. Wonderful. So we are getting our remaining time. So I want to have a sort of control of what happens. We are getting our remaining time because our countdown date is larger than the current date. So what happens if the remaining time? If our current date is bigger than our countdown date, we are going to have a negative. So if our remaining time is less than 0, if it is less than 0, since we are getting numbers, what I want to do is alert. I can alert that the countdown, maybe alert that the countdown has expired. And then what I want to do is now clear this sent interval, and what I am going to do is clear interval, and this was the necessity of having this. So all I'm going to input here is sent countdown timer. We clear it, yeah. So save that. Then else, so these two mean if our remaining time is greater than 0, which means that there is time, what do we do? So now we apply the logic. So we apply the logic. Now in JavaScript, it is always good practice to destructure a problem into much more smaller problems. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to ask myself, or ask, so 1 second is equivalent to what? It is equivalent to 1 times 1,000 milliseconds, right? Good. Then 1 minute is equivalent to our 1 second. How many seconds are there in 1 minute? It's supposed to be 60. Then 1 hour. Since we are dealing, remember, we are dealing with seconds, minutes, hours, and days. So how many minutes? So how many minutes are in 1 hour? 60. And then const. Lastly, let's have the day. How many hours are in 1 day? They are 24. Good. So we have that. And this is the logic which we are going to use to get the time. And we are going to use this remaining time here. And this remaining time, we are going to apply the logic to it, especially this logic which we have applied here, so that you can be able to get the countdown. So let's do that. Here I'm gonna comment to incorporate the logic. So let's get the remaining days. So our remaining days, we can get these. We have the math.flow, which is one of the inbuilt JavaScript methods. So math.flow, we need to take our remaining time and we divide this by 1 day. So if I come here and I console.log the remaining days, here I have put 30th May, and today is 23rd of May. So we have 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So we have, I think, 6-7 days. So I'm going to comment this out and see if I'm going to get a result. Yeah, so 6 days. 6 days are left. So we get, at least we're getting our days. So I'm going to comment these out. Next, let's get the remaining hours. And for these, we are still going to incorporate the same logic, math.flow. Now we get our remaining time. Tempting for VS Code to help me out. So remaining time, and we get modulus of 1 day. Yeah, modulus of 1 day. And for these, let me see. I'm going to put these into yes, the remainder of these, I want to divide these by 1 hour, if I'm not wrong, 1 hour. So let me incorporate here the remaining, not days but remaining hours. So let's do that. The remaining hours are 22. Yes. Maybe I can Google remaining day hours to May 30th, 2024. It gives me 9 hours. To know whether that is correct. May 2024 let's continue and see what we're going to get here. So so for the remaining hours, let's get the remaining so from hours, let's get the remaining minutes. Yes, the remaining minutes. And this is going to be given by math.flow. Put in parentheses the remaining time. And for these, we're going to give the modulus of 1 hour. And these we are going to divide by 1 minute. Yes, 1 minute. 1 minute. And then finally we are going to have remaining seconds, which is going to be given by math.flow. And then we're going to get the remaining time modulus of 1 minute, and I'm going to divide these by 1 second. So let's see what I get here. So I'm going to get the remaining minutes and the remaining seconds. They have the seconds into work. 34, 33. Perfect. So after we are already now getting our values, so what we need to do now is append, and going to append values to the HTML. So I'm going to take my day box, and for the day box I am going to put .inner text on the inner text to be the same as the remaining days. This is going to be the same for all the other ones. So day box, have the hour box. This is going to be the same as remaining hours. Then we have the minute box, and this is going to be the same as remaining minutes. Finally, we have the second box. It's going to be the same as remaining seconds. So I am supposed to see change. There we go. 6 days, 22 hours, 24 minutes, 1 second. And it counts all over again. Now, this doesn't look well, because we have two figures, but here we only have one figure. The hours are still going to go down, and they can go down up to less than 10. So we need we can create something which is going to ensure that that we always have a constant 0. And that I'm going to create a function. This function, I'm going to call it function sort time. I will want this to be above. So function sort time, and it's going to take the parameter of time, since I want to call this sort time inside here and pass these remaining days, hours as the parameter, so time. So here I'm going to say that if our time, which is going to be in figures, is going to be less than 10, then return, you can return a 0 in front with the time, else just return the time. So inside here all I need to do is, actually I need to remove all these. All I need to do is just say sort time and pass remaining days. This also goes for these two. If only I can be able to highlight these. Sort time and pass remaining hours. Sort time and pass the remaining minutes. And finally sort time, we get the remaining seconds, and we save that. Then let's see what we get. So we get, yes, so even if our seconds go below 10, you can already see that for our date, these for our days, this has changed. Let's see for the seconds how this is going to behave. 9, 8. So this is perfect. So let's see if I put today's date, whether I'm going to be alerted that the countdown has expired. So 23rd of May. So what I expect is an alert, the countdown has expired, and nothing else. So if I put this maybe to tomorrow, 24th of May, I get 22 hours are remaining, and yeah, so this seems to work. So yeah, this is a good project for anyone to practice on how to write function declarations, how to use set intervals, how to manipulate through the DOM. Yeah, so thank you, and hope you're able to do the project too. I will leave a link which for the GitHub, I will leave the GitHub link which for this particular project.